Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Girl Scout camping trip in my traveler's notebook. Today I am working on the last 2 pages of this weekend trip. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures and I just wanted to put a few in here just to capture the memory of the Girl Scout trip. So I'm going to finish it off by making 2 pages here, and on the left side I'm going to do some mixed media with some blue ink and then also this piece of paper, and I'm going to rough this piece of paper up. So I'm going to tear it with my ruler so it's a little bit of a rough edge, but I believe I go back and also do a little bit more distressing with I think my scissors or some other distressing tool. Yeah, so my scissors I'm going to use, and that's a good way to distress your paper. If you don't have an actual distressing tool, just use the edge of one of your scissors and it works just the same. You just got to be careful because it will cut into the paper more, but I kind of like that look when I do this, so I don't mind when it does that, but you just got to be a little more careful. Using a distressing tool doesn't usually tend to do that quite as badly. So I'm going to put some gesso on the side here on the left, and this I believe is white gesso. Or no, I'm sorry, this is clear gesso. And the reason I'm doing this is I wanted the lines to show. I didn't really want to cover up the lines, but I want to put some kind of grit or tooth on the back of this page so that when I put my mixed media down, it doesn't automatically absorb into the page because I have some other stuff on the other side, but also it helps just to kind of move that around on the page or the mixed media on the page. So that's why I like that. So I'm just going to take some of these inks here, or these watercolors, and I'm just going to smush this on some packaging, and then I'm going to smush the packaging on the page. And these are my Peerless watercolors, so if you haven't heard of them, they're really cool. They come in like little square sheets, and then you just what I did is I cut them into smaller squares and I made kind of a little palette with them, and I use them for watercolors, and they're really, really awesome for traveling. So I highly recommend the Peerless watercolors if you do a lot of traveling and you don't want to have a little kit, a little pan kit. This you have so many different colors and it's almost completely flat, so it's perfect. So I highly recommend using the Peerless watercolors if you're interested in the traveling with them or in traveling with them. So I'm just kind of smushing it all around the page, and you can kind of see there's a lot of kind of lines and stuff in the page, and that's just kind of where the clear gesso wasn't as thick and the paper's coming through. So that's kind of why it looks like that. So I'm just kind of going through, I'm adding some splatters, I'm adding some ink, and then letting it dry. And now I'm going to glue this piece of paper down, but I wanted to distress it just a bit more before I put that down on the page. So I'm just taking my scissors again and just roughing it up a little bit more until it's the amount of distressing I want. And you can see kind of in that bottom left-hand part of the page, it was a little bit more ripped, and I do like that look. So I just glue that down, and so most of my mixed media is covered up in this case, and I like just the blue peeking out from around the edges. So I'm also going to use a little bit of liquid glue on this. I used my ATG gun, but because I have that gesso there and it's got a lot of grit to it, it tends not to stick very well. So I always pretty much use liquid glue as well. So it kind of, the ATG will temporarily sit it there so it doesn't move around, and then I can add some more liquid glue to the back to make it a more permanent fit or permanent sticking on the page. So now I'm going to mount these photos. I want a little bit of contrast between the photo and the background page. So I'm going to mount it on this green pattern paper, and I'm just going to kind of stagger them, one to the top left and one to the bottom right, and using my ATG gun again. Now this time I am going to be going great on that pattern paper, and I didn't need to use the liquid glue because most of the pictures are on the pattern paper and it sticks just fine to that pattern paper. So I'm just taking some little butterflies and some punches I did with my Martha Stewart punches and adding them to the page. This one I thought I would add a little bit of foam tape to, so that it pops the butterfly wings up just a little bit. And this little butterfly is so tiny, it probably didn't work as well as I would have liked it to, but it does give a little bit of dimension, so it's all good. So that little butterfly is going there in the bottom left. And after that gets stuck down, I am going to be pulling out some Tim Holtz tiny word stickers here in a little bit. I think I do that next, maybe. Oh, no, I'm going to add a little bit of other butterflies here on the right-hand side of that picture. And then this tab is also going to go on the top. This is just another punch I had. It's a Fisker's punch that punches these tabs. So I pre-punched a bunch of tabs, butterflies, and hearts for this 2 pages. So here I'm just going to be pulling these Tim Holtz sticker words out, and this is on the craft cardstock, and I thought that would go good with the pattern paper that I chose. And so I'm just picking a few phrases that seem to go well with the camping experience. And I don't know about you guys if you have the same problem, but these Tim Holtz tiny word stickers, they seem to not be very sticky, which is fine. I mean, I just use a little bit of liquid glue, but I always have to end up sticking them down with a little bit of extra something because they don't seem to stick very well. They're kind of like thickers where they, they have the adhesive on the back, but they don't seem to stay on the pages where you have to add that extra glue. So I'm going to add those there. And then I believe I start working on the right hand side of the page after I get these adhered down. And what I'm using is my fine liner bottle. If you guys haven't seen those, they're an empty bottle that you can get at Hobby Lobby or online. And then you fill them with what your favorite glue is. And I really like the yellow tipped one. It's a bigger gauge of tip or needle on the bottle. And then I fill that with the Scotch tacky glue and it works perfectly. So I highly recommend that fine liner bottle. And like I said, I use the Scotch tacky glue and that seems to be flows really well through it. So now I want to add a little bit of gesso to this side because I do want to mimic kind of what I have on the left, on the right. And I'm just using an old hotel key card to smear this down until I get it kind of nice and even. And on this side, you're going to see too that it doesn't touch and cover the whole page. So now I'm just going to cut down my photos a little bit so they fit on the page. And I apologize, some of this got cut out. I think my video got corrupted a bit. So they did basically some smushing on the background with the green ink or the green paint that I have on that same Peerless watercolor palette. I added another strip of that polka dot paper, and then I added some washi tape down the seam. And on the right hand side, I put another one of those tabs and one of the hearts I pre-punched out of some plaid paper. So now I'm going to add one more photo to this page, and I'm going to mount that, I believe, as well. I believe. And what I mounted the other pictures on was some cloud paper that came in the 6x6 paper pad and that I thought looked nice. So now I'm just looking through the paper pad trying to figure out what else I can mount the photos with because I ran out of an already pre-cut sheet of that blue. So I'm looking to see if there's anything else I want to use through the die cut pad or the 6x6 pad. And I end up just deciding to grab another sheet of this cloud paper because I kind of didn't want it to look different than the other ones on the page. So I just chose to go with the cloud paper, and that's okay that I cut it up. So I'm just going to add a liquid glue on the back of this. Again, this side has a lot of that clear gesso, so I want to make sure it sticks. And I'm just going to pop that on top of that polka dot strip. I'm going to add a few more little embellishments here and there to the page. These are some more hearts that I punched out. I'm adding some more liquid glue where it's going to be touching the clear gesso. And then what I'm going to do is take my black pen and outline all of the different areas of the page, and then I'm going to add some journaling to this page as well. So now I'm just taking this Pilot G2 pen, it's a gel pen, and I'm just adding some lines around here. I wanted them to be kind of thin lines, and this G2 pen works really, really well, and I like how it flows on the page. I'm kind of just sketching it out. I didn't want it to be real perfect or anything like that. I kind of wanted to be a little sketchy and just very thin on the page, and I think this works well for that. So I'm just going to keep going around here on the page, figuring out kind of where I want to do that doodling until I get it to the look I want. And then I will end up adding my journaling here at the end. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. If you have any questions about the Traveler's Notebook, please leave those in the comments below. And if you have not already subscribed, I would love you to be a subscriber of my channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you like the video, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.